How you doing, folks? My name's Jesse. Vlog entry number 50, November 16th. What have I been working on? Well, last week, my blues band, Chesapeake Blues, and I played the benefit out in Tawnytown, Maryland at Believe Farms. It was a benefit that was meant to help raise funds for an organization that provides help for at-risk vets. It was a really pretty farm. They raise bees there, hence the bee leave, B-E-E leave. It was a cool barn, and sadly it wasn't as well attended as they would have liked, but we were able to make some connections with some other nonprofits who might be looking for bands. So something might come of it. I'll show you the pictures. It was a real, pastoral scene. The barn was cool. They had still had it decorated for Halloween. Apparently they had a Halloween party there. So you get all these white and orange lights and all these skeletons all over the place, and there was a mirror ball right over where the band was, and I was like, ooh, Prom Night of the Living Dead. I had just picked up my 65 Tremolux head from Big Crunch Audio in Baltimore. So it was a long day of driving. I drove down there, picked it up, drove up to Tawnytown, and played the show. And the Tremolux sounded great. I was really pleased. There was no better place to try it out. It was this big barn with, it looked like original thick chestnut beams. It was a really old barn. High ceilings. Sounded glorious. I was playing my SG and the Harmony Comet, and it sounded great. So thanks to Big Crunch Audio. Next up is December 20th. I'm playing with Backroads Country at the Northeast VFW, and I really got to get working on those tunes. Now, I'm not sure what happens after that. I know there's some stuff in May with my buddy Rob's band. So here's the project. If you remember the video from last week, it looks different, and it's about 95-98% there. A couple things I want to work on. You can see in the video, the plan was remove the electronics, level the frets, dress the frets, polish the frets, put the new electronics in with my buddy Joe Bochar's pickups, and then put the Bigsby on with the Vibramate system. And I got a little surprised. Now, in the last week's video, if you'll recall, I said that I wasn't a great fan of the 490s, and so I was expecting my brown Les Paul with the Burstbucker Pros in it to just stomp this thing, and it wasn't stomping it. It wasn't, and I was like, "What's up with that? Did I forget what 490s sound like? Have I been misjudging them? Did I have a bad experience with them?" Well, when I pull them out, lo and behold, they're bare knuckles pickups. So I got a set of bare knuckles pickups. Okay, they'll go into something. Maybe the Ibanez, I'm not sure. But the fret dressing got done, the polishing got done. I polished, I crowned it, sanded the frets with 600, 800, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, and 5,000 grit. So I didn't break out the Dremel, and they came out really nice. I mean, it took care of the that. No problem. I got the pickups in. The pickups were the easiest thing to put in. I'd never put a Bigsby on with a Vibramate before. It went reasonably well. The only thing, when I put the back in. It said to put this in second after you put the plate on. And I put it in, but I kept it loose because I tightened these screws down tight first, and then when I figured out where it was going to be, then I tightened the back of this. So there's actually a pretty significant gap under the Bigsby, which I don't know if that's okay. I don't know if that's normal. I'm still playing around with the tuning stability on this, because among the things that were done, someone cut a nut for this, and I'm not sure how they cut it, how well they cut it, but we'll see. We'll see. The pickup rings I got from GFS, that and the pick guard were fine. The back plate I got from GFS, and like they didn't fit. This one required just a little bit of sanding to get it to fit, and that fit okay. This one I butchered badly. So you really don't want me working on your guitars. So I'm going to have to find a cream replacement for this that actually fits. But other than that, we are up and we are functional. Now, Joe being Joe only knows one way to do anything, and that's the right way, which I'm going to talk about at length when I start talking about his guitars. And Joe is super conscientious about what he does. And so I was sending pictures as I was going. It took me like a whole day to put all this together. And I'd send him pictures, and he'd be like, all right, well, what does it sound like? How do they sound? Are you happy with the sound? Do you like the sound? And I kind of held him at bay a little bit, even after I got everything together and was trying it out. And I wasn't trying to be coy. I was really trying to come to grips with what it sounded like. You know? This is the second time I've tried making this video, and I'm going to see if I can do a better job of explaining what I mean. If I said to you, what does a Les Paul sound like? Before you even figured out what you were going to say, you probably had a mental snapshot, an audio snapshot in your mind, if you will. Maybe it sounded like Billy Gibbons's Pearly Gates. Maybe it sounded like Jimmy Page's guitar. Maybe it sounded like Joe Walsh. Maybe it sounded like any number of famous Les Paul players. If I said to you, what does a Strat sound like? You'd think of the player first and then think of what their music sounded like. And that would give you an idea. And if I told you something sounded like a Les Paul, or it sounded like a Strat, or it sounded like a Tele, or it sounded like a Rickenbacker, you would have a general idea in your head of what it sounded like. And then I would try and add more descriptors to it to dial it in for you. Well, it sounds like a Les Paul, but it's a little darker, or it's a little thinner, or it sounds like a Strat, but it's fuller, right? And I really didn't have a point of reference. I think in part because P90s are kind of amorphous. If I said to you, what does a P90 sound like? I think you would struggle a little more than you would say with explaining what a Strat sounds like or what a Les Paul sounds like. Because are we talking Leslie West? Are we talking Carlos Santana at Woodstock? Are we talking about Uncle Larry? Are we talking about, are we talking about, who's that guy that's got the blues power? That big dude. I don't know. But you get what I'm trying to say. It's a little harder to, I think, talk about what a P90 sounds like, because I don't know if we've got a definitive point of reference, because P90s can be kind of amorphous, in my opinion. So I really I was like, well, what does a P90 sound like? A brighter humbucker? Well, yeah, but not exactly. So, what ended up happening, I've been playing this thing for a week now. And what I ended up having to do was A-B it with a bunch of my other guitars. With my other Les Pauls, with my special with the P90s in it, with my Strat, with some of Joe's guitars, you know, his Supertones. And in a way, I can only describe what they sound like in comparison to other pickups that we know. Without trying to sound like somebody trying to describe wine. Earthy tones. It's got legs. And other nonsense. It sounded fuller than my Strat. It didn't sound quite as full as my Les Pauls, but it sounded brighter. In fact, in comparison, my studio with 59s in it actually kind of sounded muddy. In the 2 position, a little bit of a Gretsch vibe. With some chime to it. The bridge position. Little quack to it. And then you throw some dirt on it. Maybe take it down to 80% on the... I like the pickups, Joe. I do. Like, what ends up happening is the guitar has its own personality. It really does. It's really different than all my other Les Pauls. It's really different than my special. I've got a special that I put Rio Grande P90s in, like the jazz version in the neck and the blues version in the bridge. Great sounding guitar, different, much different. Joe said when he put this together, these pickups together, he was shooting for a more traditional sound. And if this is what a traditional P90 sounds like, great. I'm all on board, you know. Like I said, still working on the tuning issue. I think I'm going to have to mess with this nut a little bit just to, but I'm looking forward to playing it out. I'm looking forward to trying it with the Delta Blues. Those EL84s make it a nasty, nasty amp. And I could see myself playing this in the SG a lot with that, you know. I can see that happening. So I'm gonna have to, like, I'm going through all my stuff. I was saving Joe's guitars for last to talk about them. Hopefully, maybe by the time I get to them, I'll have a little more of an audience. Because Joe deserves an audience. I'm gonna talk about him at length and talk about what he does. Because like I said, he only knows one way to do anything, and that's the right way. As opposed to me, who has no problem half-assing it. You know, I've got some Fat Cats. I'd love to put them in a guitar and A-B them with Joe's just to see how they compare. I like Fat Cats. If I remember correctly, they're a little gnarlier. Like, they don't get as pretty. You know, like, and this amp is great for that. The Ampeg Gemini 2. Let me give you a little tremolo. Put some deep reverb on it. Yeah, I'm going to be playing this one for a bit. Let me know what experience you've had with humbucking size P90s. What are some of your favorites? My name's Jesse. I'll talk to you later.